You're sitting at your kitchen table on a Sunday morning, coffee getting cold, calculator app open for the third time this month. You've been seriously saving for a down payment for 2 years now. The real estate blog said save 20%. That's what responsible buyers do. You're looking at house prices in your area, $400 to $50,000 for something that isn't falling apart. You do the multiplication, $90,000. You look at your savings account, $14,000. You've been saving $600 a month religiously, skipping vacations, driving a car that sounds like a mechanical cough. At this rate, you'll hit 90,000 in approximately 11 years. Except you won't because you just checked and that same house you were looking at 18 months ago, now it's 485,000. The down payment you need just grew by $7,000 while you were busy saving. Sound familiar? That sinking feeling when you realize you're not failing at saving. You're trying to win a game with impossible rules. You've read the articles about cutting lattes and side hustles. You've done the budget apps. And still, the math doesn't work. Because this isn't about your discipline. This is about a system that pretends a $90,000 cash requirement is normal and achievable for people earning median wages. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you the complete mathematical reality of the 20% down payment requirement. We're going to calculate exactly what income you actually need to save this money while paying rent and living expenses. We'll walk through a real household budget, proving why this barrier is designed to be insurmountable. And I'll show you why the solution they offer, putting down 3 to 5% instead, isn't a solution at all, but a $75,000 trap disguised as accessibility. Let's start with the baseline impossibility. The median American household has $8,000 in savings. The median home price in America is $450,000. 20% down payment means $90,000 cash. You need to multiply your entire net worth by 11. The financial advice says save aggressively. Let's say you commit to $750 every single month. That's $90,000 in exactly 10 years. But here's the first problem. That assumes housing prices freeze completely for a decade. They won't, they haven't, they never do. But let's pretend they do. Let's give you the absolute best case scenario where that $450,000 house costs exactly $450,000 10 years from now. You're saving $750 monthly while covering all your living expenses. So here's the question nobody wants to answer directly. What income do you actually need to pull that off? Let me show you what saving $90,000 actually requires. Start with the non-negotiable basics for a median household. You need housing. Let's say you're renting a one-bedroom apartment in a modest market. $2,800 monthly. That's not luxury. That's average. You need food. And $400 for groceries if you're cooking at home and being careful. You have a car because most of America requires one. $350 combining payment and insurance for something used and reliable. Utilities run about $200. Phone and internet another $150. If you went to college, you probably have student loans. $400 monthly is common for bachelor's degree debt. Health insurance after your employer contribution, if you're lucky enough to have employer coverage, still costs about $300 monthly. Add those up. 2,800 plus 400 plus 350 plus 200 plus 150 plus 400 plus 300. That's $4,600 in expenses before you've bought clothes, saved for emergencies, you contributed to retirement, or had any form of entertainment. And you haven't saved $1 toward that down payment yet. Now add the $750 monthly you need to save for the down payment. You're at $5,350 in monthly requirements. Annually, that's $64,200. But that's after tax income. To net $64,200, you need to gross approximately $80,000, depending on your state. The median household income in America is $75,000. You need to be earning above median income just to have a chance at the down payment. And that's assuming zero lifestyle, zero emergencies, zero retirement savings, zero breathing room. Most people stop the analysis there. They think, okay, I need to earn more or cut expenses. But here's where the math becomes truly devastating. Because we've been assuming something that isn't true, we've been assuming prices stay flat. Housing prices don't freeze. They've appreciated 4 to 6% annually over the past decade. Let's run the actual calculation with 5% annual appreciation. Year one, you save $9,000 with perfect discipline. But that $450,000 house now costs $472,500. The down payment you need is $94,500. You're $4,500 further behind than when you started, despite doing everything right. Year two, you've saved $18,000 total. The house now costs $496,125. You need $99,225. You're not catching up. You're falling further behind. The gap has grown to $81,225. By year five, you've saved $45,000. That's over 4 years of perfect $750 monthly deposits. The house now costs $574,000. You need $114,800 for 20% down. The gap between what you have and what you need has actually widened from $90,000 to $69,800. You saved $45,000 and you're further from homeownership than when you started. This is the treadmill set faster than you can run. If you're saving $750 monthly while prices rise 5% annually on a $450,000 house, you mathematically never catch up. Never. The break-even point, where you're at least keeping pace with appreciation, requires saving approximately $1,400 monthly. That demands roughly $100,000 gross income before you're even making progress toward the goal, just maintaining the same distance from the finish line. Let me translate what this feels like in real terms. It feels like punishing yourself month after month, skipping the vacation your friends take, driving past the restaurant you used to enjoy, wearing the same winter coat for the seventh year, watching your savings account grow to 14,000, then 18,000, then 23,000, and feeling like you're finally getting somewhere, then checking home prices and realizing you're further away than you were 3 years ago. And it feels like being told the problem is your discipline when the problem is the game. But let me show you what this actually looks like with real people and a real budget. Meet Marcus and Jennifer Johnson, both 32. Combined gross income, $82,000. That's $7,000 above the national median. They're doing better than most. They live in Charlotte, North Carolina, a below average cost of living market. No kids. Both working full-time with bachelor's degrees. They're trying to save for their first home. They're doing everything the advice says to do. Here's their complete monthly budget. After taxes and deductions, they net $5,717 monthly. Let's see where it goes. Fixed costs first. Rent is $2,400 for a one-bedroom in a modest complex, not luxury. I'd average. Car payment, $420 for one vehicle they bought used 3 years ago. Car insurance, $180. Gas, $160. Electric and water, $110. Internet and streaming, $85. 2 phone lines, $180. Health insurance premiums after employer contribution, $320. Student loans, $480. That's both of them. Bachelor's degrees, nothing fancy. Renter's insurance and miscellaneous insurance, $150. That's $4,485 in fixed costs they cannot negotiate away. Variable essentials next. Groceries, $500. They cook at home. Household supplies and toiletries, $200. Clothing and shoes, $150 average monthly. That's $1,800 annually total for both of them. Medical copays and prescriptions average $100 monthly. Pet expenses, $80. They have one dog. That's another $1030 in variable costs. Minimal discretionary spending. Restaurants and takeout, $200. That's eating out twice monthly. Gym membership, $60 for one of them. Hobbies, $40. Gifts and holidays averaged monthly $100. That's $400 in discretionary. They're trying to build an emergency fund, contributing $200 monthly. Added up, $44. $85 plus $10. $30 plus $400 and plus $200. $61.15 total monthly expenses. Monthly income, $57.17. They're already negative $398 every month, before saving a single dollar for a down payment. Look at that budget again. What do you cut? They're already living below middle-class quality of life. No retirement contributions. No vacation fund. No car repair reserve. To save $750 monthly for that down payment, they need to find $1,150 somewhere. There is nowhere to find it. The budget includes nothing extra. Here's what that actually feels like day to day. It feels like Jennifer calculating whether they can afford to fix the check engine light now or delay it another month. It feels like Marcus eating the same meal prep lunch for the 14th consecutive day because deviation costs money they've accounted for elsewhere. It feels like both of them declining the coworker happy hour again, watching friends take weekend trips they can't justify. The dog needs a vet visit, but it's not emergency level yet. Can it wait? It feels like the future they're saving for punishing the present they're living in, month after month, while watching house prices climb faster than their savings account. They make above median income. They live in a below average cost market. They have no children, and the math doesn't work. This isn't about discipline. This is about mathematical impossibility disguised as a character test. So, the industry offers you a solution, and it's going to cost you $75,000. Put down 3 to 5% instead of 20. That's the pitch. That's how they make homeownership accessible. Let's run the numbers. $450,000 house with 3% down. That's 13,500. For the Johnsons, that's maybe 18 months of extreme saving if they can find 600 monthly somehow. Achievable, finally. But here's what they don't headline when they sell you this solution. On private mortgage insurance, PMI, you'll pay 0.5 to 1.5% of the loan amount annually until you reach 20% equity. On a $436,500 loan, that's roughly $450 monthly, every month for 7 to 10 years typically, until appreciation and principal payments get you to 20% equity. $450 monthly for 8 years. That's $43,200 in PMI payments. Money that disappears, but it gets worse. That $450 monthly could have been going to principal instead. Let me show you what that means. With that money going to principal, you'd pay off the mortgage 4 years earlier, 4 years. The interest you'd save over those 4 years, approximately $46,000. Add the $43,000 you paid in PMI. The true cost of buying with 3% down instead of 20% down is roughly $75,000. $43,000 paid directly to the PMI company. $46,000 paid in additional interest because your loan stayed larger longer and lasted longer. You traded the impossible task of saving $90,000 upfront for the guarantee of paying $75,000 extra over the life of the loan. And here's the part that should make you furious. Everyone in that transaction profits from your inability to save. The lender makes more money on the larger loan amount. The PMI company collects fees for years. The real estate agent closes the sale and moves on to the next commission. Nobody in the transaction benefits from you waiting and saving more. Everyone profits when you buy now with less down. The accessible homeownership narrative serves the industry, not you. But you've been told this is a discipline problem. That's the cultural lie that makes this system sustainable. If you can't save $90,000, you're not sacrificing enough. Cut the daily latte. That's $150 monthly. Gets you to $90,000 in 50 years. Drive an older car, the Johnsons already are. Skip vacations. They haven't taken one in 3 years. The viral stories of people who saved down payments are missing crucial details. They're either not mentioning the inheritance, or their households earning $150,000 plus, or they lived with parents rent-free for years, or they bought in 2012 when prices were 40% lower. Then these aren't replicable strategies. They're survivorship bias packaged as inspiration. Here's the psychological damage this narrative creates. People making $75,000 think they're financially irresponsible when they can't save $90,000. When the actual truth is they're being asked to do something mathematically impossible without severe quality of life destruction or family financial support. The system shifted from question of possibility to question of character, and you internalize that shift. But let me show you who actually buys homes in America now. 43% of first-time buyers receive down payment gifts from family. 43%. The median gift amount is $30,000. The median first-time buyer household income has risen to $95,000, eyeing well above the national median of $75,000. Housing has become inheritance gated. If your parents can't write a check, you're playing a different game than the success stories you see. The system increasingly serves wealth transfer, not wealth building. Meanwhile, investor purchases represent 28% of home sales now. All cash offers are common. You're not just competing against other families trying to save, you're competing against entities that don't need mortgages or savings timelines. The 20% down payment requirement isn't designed to ensure borrower stability. It's a class barrier. It determines who can access the wealth building mechanism of homeownership and who remains permanent renters, enriching landlord portfolios. They didn't design a savings goal. They designed a class barrier. And they named it responsible homeownership so you'd blame yourself when you couldn't clear it. Let me give you permission to do something radical. Stop. If your household income is below $95,000 and you don't have family help, the 20% down payment path will likely require either a decade plus timeline with severe lifestyle restriction or accepting the PMI trap that cost you the equivalent money anyway. This isn't failure. This is mathematical reality. You can choose to rent in a low cost area while investing the difference in index funds. That's a legitimate wealth building strategy. You can move to a lower cost market where 250,000 buys a house and both the down payment and monthly payment become manageable. That's smart, not defeat. You can wait for policy changes or market corrections while building other assets and career income. That's rational planning. You don't need to financially destroy yourself for the next decade to prove you're responsible. You don't need to trap yourself in PMI payments to meet someone else's timeline. If the math doesn't work, the answer isn't sacrifice more. The answer is this system isn't designed for median earners without family help. And that's not your failure. Success isn't bankrupting your present for an uncertain future. Success is building wealth on terms that don't require you to live like you're broke while making above average income. Success is recognizing a rigged game and refusing to play by rules designed to extract maximum money from you while delivering minimum benefit. The Johnsons are still renting. They're investing $400 monthly in index funds now instead of starving themselves, trying to save for a down payment that grows faster than their savings. In 10 years, at 7% average returns, that's $69,000. Not enough for 20% down if prices keep rising. But it's diversified wealth they control, liquid if they need it, and they're not house poor watching their friends live life while they eat rice and beans in a $500,000 house they can barely